Hey Johnny, we are back, and we're kind of getting thrown back into our childhood today. I know you're a big Star Wars fan, and Star Wars came out in what, 77? Is that right?
1977, Star Wars. It
1970.
wasn't back then, it was just Star Wars, right? And then over time it became Star Wars Episode 4,
Oh
A New Hope.
yes. Oh,
Yeah.
that's right, the New Hope. Yeah,
So, A New
and
Hope.
oh,
Great series. We'll do an episode here and we'll do a review of all the Star Wars movies. I'm not counting the new ones that just came out
right.
because, in my
Yeah,
opinion, they don't really count. But the first six are pretty cool, really
they really
cool.
are.
So
Yeah, they're
I'm
they're they're
sitting, yeah,
they're
I'm
they're
sitting here in my office and looking at all these Star Wars collection that I actually have, and I think I just rather go play with those toys right now, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
You've got quite the collection, and you've got posters in the background and things. But as we grew up on Star Wars, we also grew up on Schoolhouse Rock and some of the songs. And one of the songs that they just drilled into my head was "My Hero Zero," and it was a part of the math curriculum and things for Schoolhouse Rock. But we want to talk about the power of zero, the mindset, and how it actually plays out, and why zero is such a big number when it comes to retirement planning.
Yeah, so zero usually is not associated with anything positive, generally off the top of people's heads, right?
Not when you're talking in
Um,
finances and investments and
especially in money. When you think about money, it's like zero. Well, that's horrible.
right.
Well, there's parts of it where it's actually very powerful. We've been talking about taxes and Roth and all that kind of stuff the last few weeks, and there's other aspects, insurance, which we'll get into as well, insurance products. But um, zero when it comes to taxes is the best way to go. It's number one. Zero on a scale of 1 to 10 is actually the 10, right? It's the
Yeah,
best
exactly.
because I don't want to pay out money if I don't have to. I'd rather
Right.
pay zero in taxes
Hmm.
versus 1%, 10%, 5%, whatever it may be.
Right.
So planning, how do I get zero to be my hero
Yeah.
as far as tax wise is important. And we've kind of talked about the Roth IRA being one of those vehicles. And I know we're going to talk about insurance concepts and things as being one of those vehicles as well coming up. But getting that mindset around, man, it's zero is actually a cool number
It
in certain
is.
parts of my retirement. So the first part of it is the tax aspect of it, right?
Hmm.
Sitting with the tax aspect of it and being able to sit down with clients and realize all the money that I have actually isn't all mine, you know, because
Right.
I owe Uncle Sam has his hands in my money.
Well,
And when I run numbers with people and we show like what the tax implications are going to be, not only while they're alive. We had a client that looked at it, they had a decent amount of funds in their IRA,
hmm.
traditional IRA, and we were showing, okay, if you pull this income stream out and you pull income out till you're 85 at this level, this is the amount of taxes based on today's brackets where you're going to be at. And with the pension and Social Security and all that kind of stuff, and when they have to start doing required minimum distributions at a certain age where the government makes you take money out of your IRA,
Right.
man, it's like, wow, uh, I'm really having to pay more in taxes than I thought I would. I'm not keeping as much of my money. And
Yeah.
not only that, we show him passing away at 85. We just did that, as a
Yeah.
guy. And it's like, man, look at what the tax situation is going to be on my beneficiaries, my kids.
Yes.
And so, as well as a spouse, you know what I mean? Because remember, if you're married and you're going through a situation together and one of them passes away, when you're married, you file taxes as what? Joint.
Right. Yeah. Joint.
The brackets are all different, right? You get the deductions and all that kind of stuff. All of a sudden, if one of the spouses pass away, now you're filing taxes as what? A
Right.
single person,
Single. Yeah.
So whether it's a husband or wife that's left
Wow.
behind, next thing you know, that money that I've had, and I'm thinking, oh, there's $300,000 in there. That's so nice. Well, when you were filing jointly before they died, that money was actually worth more, even though it's the same number,
Wow.
than it is when one of them passes away, simply because now I'm filing as a single taxpayer.
Yeah. That's
So,
crazy.
so it is crazy. And it's like, it seems like it's unfair, but that's the way it goes. So having that zero being a priority, being a hero as far as tax planning and
Yeah.
legacy planning for your family is so important because it's not just leaving money to kids, but it's also to my spouse
Yeah.
because their tax bracket's going to be different. And so
Wow.
that dollar amount that we're leaving is worth less. Okay. And so
Hmm.
that's one of the aspects of zero. The other aspect of is protecting money from any loss. I'd rather have zero gain and zero loss than lose 10%.
That's right.
Right. Now,
That's
I
right.
can still make money when it's positive. That's what I want to do. But knowing that, man, zero will be my hero when there's a market dive because I'm
Yeah.
retired and I have a finite amount of money, that's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
So having growth potential, but having that zero being my hero for protection from market loss is another huge part of it. Because as we get older, once again, we have a certain amount of money
Yeah.
and spouse passes away. Use this as an example, right? Spouse passes away. Not only is the tax bracket changed for the remaining spouse, but all of a sudden the spouse is gone and the market drops 15% a year later. So not only is the surviving spouse paying higher taxes, now they're getting hit with a loss of their own money.
Right.
So boom. And those are things that you need to plan ahead of time for because that's all part of it, man. Income, leaving money to your spouse, because they've got to have that income last forever too. So
Yeah.
zero
Wow.
taxes, 0% of loss in my money. How do I do that? Can I accomplish that at least with some of my funds?
Yeah.
It makes sense to look at it and realize I'm protecting myself and family now, but I'm also protecting myself and family later
Yeah.
because as you
Wow.
live long enough there's so much volatility that you have a risk of losing a good chunk of money. um and I was talking to a client the other day and they're all about stocks and the concept and it's true, stocks over long term outperform anything, right, being in the Dow and all that kind of stuff,
Well,
S&P. But your life is shrinking. It's not I've got 60 years to live
yeah.
now, and maybe I've got a 20-year window.
Yeah.
So in that 20-year window, I've got to make all this money I saved last. So
Hmm.
that zero concept where I can never lose any of it
Right.
needs to become a big thought process in your planning for the rest of your life, as well
Man,
as the power of zero as far as tax planning.
I love it. You keep giving me
Need
ideas for
to
more
begin thinking about that.
episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We might just do a whole mini series here on the power of zero, because you talked about there that we're going to come back and we're going to talk about uh, how this impacts and how this could play out in a life insurance policy. We're going to talk about you just mentioned um, a benefit of annuities. I'm a big a fan of annuities because it low I have zero downside risk, right? That helps me as I plan for my retirement. We're going to talk about giving money to your kids and grandkids and how you can do that now because too many times we forget that when we make that transfer, there's a tax that's going to that they're going to have to pay, but there are some ways to kind of get around that as well, I think, that I want to talk about. So this power of zero, nobody talks about this, Johnny. All you hear about is big growth and how much can you make, and well, that's all well and good, but if you're going to lose it just as fast as you made it, why have that anxiety? Why not have the peace of mind that the power of zero can bring you? And it can be a reality for some, if not all of your money. It depends on how you structure things. That always comes down to an individual conversation with you. But the concept, the power of zero, I love the conversation we're having now. We're just scratching the surface, and I think we're going to probably
Yeah,
spend
it's
2 or 3 more
we need
weeks
to
on it.
because I talked to a client last week and I was sharing this concept and they're very strong, like I said, on the concept. The one guy was on, well, man, I can make so much money in the stock market, blah blah blah. I said, well, what can happen is, guess what? You don't want to have to go back to work. You don't want to have to go back working at Walmart or somewhere else as you get older. Nothing against that, unless
Right?
you want to.
Unless you want
Well,
to.
that'll never happen. Well, that's what everybody that's working there who
Yeah.
doesn't want to work there thought 10 years ago.
right.
right? Well, that I'll never have to work again. Now there's people that choose to do it,
Right.
but having that mindset of the power of zero, so I can't lose and protect myself from taxes, can also prevent you from having to go back to work if you plan early enough and get it ready. So you never know what's going to happen is the point,
That's right.
right? So yeah, you can plan for these things ahead of time to try and prevent as much as you can from happening. So yes,
Awesome.
let's talk more about all this stuff coming up.
Okay. We will do it. The power of zero, the mindset, my hero zero. We'll be back next week with another great episode, Johnny. Take care, buddy.
Thanks, Mike.